Hi, Juliet. This is your daddy. Um, we've gone through the letters I've sent you, including the letter that you were supposed to read from me, ordered by the judge. That was in 4 parts. Unfortunately, because of the memory limitations on my computer at the moment. But no matter, as long as you read it and get the message. I want to take you to time and a place. And the time is um, right before or at the time that the order of protection ends. Your mother is writing me back, writing to her every week, writing me back every week. She's not exactly acting like my best friend, and she is not exactly quitting reminding me of all the bad things I've done. But anyway, I'd like to start reading these to you. Now, for anybody else that might be listening, keep in mind that I don't have to do this. If Lori would just come to her senses and call me up and say, let's work this out, let's get you back together and, you know, we'll get you start seeing Juliet again and whatever. But when the court order ended, it was a very emotional time for me. I had gone through 8 months of court and 1 year of order of protection of not being able to see or hear from you, and I never did, even though I could have. On your end, there's nothing in the law that would stop you or your mother or both of you from calling me, seeing me, whatever. But all I could do was write these letters to you and email or call your mother. But I never called your mother. First, because it was a little awkward. And in the end, I thought to myself, what if you answer? Gee, that would break the rules if I don't know where your mother's coming from. If she wanted to, she could, I could go to jail, if I broke the rules. So I didn't break the rules, firstly, because I respect what was told to me, and secondly, because I'm not going to do anything crazy, you know. I think everybody knows me well enough, including your mother, to know that. So this is dated 9/27/2017, and although it seemed that the order would have stopped October, it actually stopped at midnight on that night, and this was sent to me about. Let's see if I see a timestamp here. It was sent to me just like 4 hours before midnight when the order of protection expired. I don't think your mother knew that. I knew that because I went up and I looked at the records, you know. And I said, "Dear Lori," and I want you to think about and listen to, especially if it's Lori's family or anyone else listening that might want to digest this. Uh, uh, because anything I might say, anybody who is on Lori's team will call it that. Might say, well, he's lying, he's just a liar and making it up. But these are the emails. These are in print. I have them. I saved them. And I can't doctor them, I can't change them. Lori has them too, so. She writes, I just wanted to drop you a line to let you know I'm home. This is me writing to her. Okay, I had been in France, and I had just gotten back. I will write again, but I would like the order to lapse. Not that anything will be different, except I won't have to worry about the next knock on my door being a policeman. You have no idea how scared I was that a policeman would at any time knock on my door and say, you're coming with me, because of something your mother said I did. It's just, what a way to live. Anyway, the email continues. The whole thing has left me empty. And what I meant by that is that, I didn't hate your mother. I didn't want revenge. I was no longer angry. It wasn't a thing. I'd gotten therapy. I didn't go get mad anymore like I used to. Didn't lose my temper. This whole thing has humbled me. If losing your daughter for 20 months doesn't humble you, then you're just not a human being, And I continue to write, how did I manage to lose the one thing in my life that meant everything to me? It seems almost impossible, but it happened. And I will spend every day for the rest of my life thinking about that. Love to Juliet. The mother writes back, 9/29. 2 days later, order protection now is over, I think. Or is this the one where it's 4 hours? We'll find out in a minute. She is getting into a routine but is having lots of trouble focusing and concentrating. We are seeing a new doctor. We have our first appointment in a couple of weeks. Still seeing the talk therapist, and that is going well. We will be applying for financial support and federal and state scholarship grants for college. Sorry, I didn't mean to chuckle about that. It was about the idea that the next line is, if they require info from you, I'll let you know. From me, I've been persona non grata. Somebody can explain to you what that means. For 20 months, and this is nothing but hopeful. Nothing but hopeful. Okay? And it sounds like she wants to include me into, and she talked about going to Lincoln Park with you, she said, and, she said that you said no. And I said, okay, October 5th. Certainly, the order of protection is over. Dear Lori, thank you once again for information concerning Juliet. I want to stop there and say that your mother never really told me the names of the doctors or anything like that. And by law, she's supposed to. She eventually would give me some of that information, but we'll get to that. Lori, your mother continues. I saw you sent at 9:45 on Friday and was wondering if you realized it was a little over 2 hours before the order of protection expired. I wasn't sure myself until I pulled out the final words. It's funny how she writes me just a little over 2 hours before it ends. There's no way I was writing anything back because I wasn't going to take any chances. I feel less intimidated about what I write, but oddly enough, it wouldn't be anything I hadn't discussed with my therapist anyway, considering the number of hours I put in there now. The bottom line is I have to be very careful, and this is getting off the email, I have to be very careful about what I write, because there was something I wrote in an email that convicted me in court that was taken out of context, and we'll get to that at some point. In June, I called the offices of family court just to find out what happens when the order expires. If I had to go back to court, get a new document or something. What was interesting was that they told me, no, you don't have to do anything. But when I questioned about seeing therapists still or writing letters or reporting to you, they said that none of that was mandatory. It was an allowance by the judge. Nothing would have happened if I never went to therapy. They said it was a judgment call by the judge, an open line of communication during the order, which actually is very unusual. Only in the cases where the situation seemed like more of a heated family feud than something really serious. It might allow us to solve this on our own. The problem was you chose, and Juliet, not to take any action until you started writing back to me about 6 months ago. And I remember now I have it firmly entrenched that was about March of 2017. So that's about right. Be that as it may, the conversations we did have did throw some light my way, perhaps even enough to allow me to make some kind of sense over why it happened. 2 emails in particular were key. One pertained to stories about Domino's Pizza conversation, and the other about making you learn how to drive. Okay? I'm going to end this one here and pick it up because of memory considerations of my computer. Okay, so we'll continue this email next one.